Have you done any question like that, assertion and reasoning? Yes or no? Tell.
Yes, ma'am.
You have done. So what do you how you have done that? How you have done in the sense, what do you understood by doing that?
Two sentences would be
Will be
given.
given. One is assertion and another one is reasoning. Okay.
And then the first sentence may be about a topic,
Hmm.
and the other one may be related. Sometimes it will be not related. So we have to find whether it's related or not, and they choose the correct options
Okay.
from the given ones.
In also first one is assertion, a statement. Okay. Second one is the reasoning, in the sense that first sentence happened because of the second point. You know what it is. Okay. Like first sentence, whatever a statement it will be, that happened maybe because of this second point. That is a reasoning one. They are correcting it. If it is not reasoning, you know what to do. Sometimes the assertion itself will be wrong. It will be false. Maybe the other one will be correct. Like that it will be. So when you are doing that, understand the statement and reasoning, whether it is related or whether it is correct or not, whether it justifies that particular statement. So reasoning is justifies that particular statement or not. See that and understand and write it. Okay, do it or select it. For this exam, I have put one question, assertion and reasoning. It is very easy. Just read and understand and find out what is the relation. Okay. Remaining all, it is MCQ only. So read the textbook thoroughly. Okay, everyone. Now, here in this previous class, I told you related to the human capital formation. There are two important things that determines the human capital. What are those two important things which should be there? Then only the capital, human capital will be improved. What are those two things? Elvina?
Expenditure on education and health.
Education and health, mainly education and health. Now, there are some sources of human capital formation, or there are some determinants of human capital formation. Tomlin, can you tell which are they? And I want everyone to switch on your video. Yes, first. Tomlin, can you tell?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, expenditure on health, expenditure on education,
Hmm. Expenditure on education.
health,
Hmm.
on the job training,
Expenditure on
expenditure on health and on the job training,
okay, then
migration,
migration. One more expenditure
on information, expenditure on information.
on information. Okay, expenditure on information. Correct. Then I told you regarding the difference between physical capital and human capital. What are the differences between physical capital and the human capital? Aishwarya, many differences are there, and that few you can tell.
Physical capital means
Hmm.
those like machines, buildings, etc., which can
Hmm.
last for a long time.
Hmm.
And the human capital is the abilities of the person.
Skills and abilities of the person. Okay. One more.
Human capital is difficult to transport to other countries or other places,
Human
whereas
capital is less mobile, while physical capital
physical
is
capital is more
more
mobile.
mobile. Karthik, can you tell some other points?
Physical capital is tangible and can be sold easily in the market.
Hmm.
Human capital is intangible and cannot be sold in the market.
Okay. Aparna,
Ma'am, physical capital it depreciates with the passage of time, and human capital it can be reduced by making continuous
yeah,
investment,
depreciation will be there, but it can be reduced by continuous investment on
education and health.
education and health. Okay. I think two more points are remaining. Grishma, can you tell? Grishma, yes. Can you tell difference between physical capital and
human capital? Physical capital is more mobile between countries, and human capital is less
any other
mobile.
point? Any other point?
change in technology makes physical capital obsolete,
Obsolete, okay.
and human capital can cope up with the change.
Okay, can cope up with the change. I told 2-3 times, please switch on your video first. And whenever I start sharing, that's all will switch it off. Huh? Okay, now this table yesterday I told you, as if you see that there is an increase in literacy rate, as there is an increase in life expectancy, or as there is an increase in infant mortality rate, all these things shows that improvement in education and the health facilities. If you see that improvement, at the same time you can see there is an increase in the real per capita income. So this shows that there is a relation between the per capita income and education and health of our country. Okay. Now, in your textbook, what is given, it is different. Okay. Just check. Just below the table, they might have given about that Deutsche Bank. Just see what is given in your textbook. Is it correct? Is it the same or about a German bank? Just check. Is it the same? Tomlin, do you have the textbook with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Page number 89. Just check. Page number 89. Whether they have given about that German bank Deutsche. Grishma, what is given? Or is it the same, the draft national education policy?
Ma'am, it's given about the bank.
Okay, it's given about the bank. So there is some difference, because if you see that Deutsche Bank, what they are telling, it is about that India will emerge as one of the major growth centers, especially in the matter of human capital by 2020. It is given. So I feel that maybe because of that they have changed that statistics. Now in the new book, this is like this. Okay, this is from net. You can get the book from the net and see. So wherever is there, where there any difference is there, you just mark that in your textbook, and later on when exams or whenever you want, you can just see what is given in the net. Okay, or what is given in the new book. So wherever there is some problem, just mark and keep it. Table also, I told that there is some difference. Previous chapters, poverty also, I told there is some difference in the statistics. So wherever some changes are there, just mark and keep it there, some change. Okay. So here, according to the draft of national education policy, you know that national education policies we started introducing recent years. Even this 2020 also, national education policy is introduced. So what they have, what is the speciality we are telling? According to that, India will be at par with United States and China in the matter of especially the human capital formation, or it will be the third state, it seems, will be third largest economy, it seems, by 2032. From 2030 to 32, if you see, we will be like the third largest economy. Okay. Now, India is now, what they are telling is fifth largest economy with how many people here? 5 trillion economy. In 5 to 7 years, this will take us to 4th to 5th position, it seems. That's what, according to the statistics, they are telling. And by 2030 to 2032, we will be the third largest economy at over 10 trillion. Now, our economy is not flourishing or developing not only by the natural resources, but by the knowledge resource. Now, what do you mean by this knowledge resource? What you are talking? It is about education or the health facilities, what is given to the people, mainly about the education. Okay. Now, if you see that we are going to be the world's third largest economy. Okay, so all these things we are expecting that after USA, China, then India will be there in the matter of human knowledge or human education, human capital, we will be the third largest economy in the world, it seems. So it shows that how much importance we are giving to the knowledge, or how much importance we are giving to the education, technology and all. Because I told that wherever the education is very high, innovations will be there, and new technology will be there. People start living according to the technology, and all these will be helpful in improving the human capital formation. At the same time, it will lead to the development of our economy. Now, next, what they have given is regarding human capital and human development. So there is some difference they have given regarding human capital and human development. Okay, so that I will give you some differences as given. The first one, human capital, when we talk, that considers education and health as a means to increase labor productivity. As a means, in the sense, it is like an intermediate good here. Okay, it will be helpful in increasing the labor productivity. So when we talk about human capital, we are considering our knowledge or education, everything as a means to increase the labor productivity. But at the same time, when we talk about human development, it is the end. It is a result of it. I mean, we say that education and health are integral or important for the human beings, or it will be helpful in developing. So here they are not talking about a means. We are talking about an end result. We are talking according to the human development. So once more, please listen. Human capital, when we are talking, when we tell about human capital, we are considering education, health and all as a means to achieve what? Improvement in the productivity of that particular person. But here, when we talk about human development, education and health are considered as an end product, or it is an important part of human beings. That is what they are telling. Another one, human capital. When we invest in health education, it is if it is unproductive, or if it is not increasing the output of goods and services, then it is not much valuable. Okay, so here in human capital, investment in education and health is considered to be unproductive. When it is unproductive, when it is not useful, if it is not improving the ability of the person, or if it is not increasing the productivity of that particular person, or if it is not increasing the output, then our education, health is unproductive. It is not productive. But at the same time, you can see related to human development, it is taken to be productive in the matter of human development, even though it is not improving any higher output, or even though it is not leading to any increase in the output. So that is the second difference you can see between human capital and human development. Now, human capital treats human beings as a means to end. This is what related to somewhat the first point, and the end being the increase in production. The end will end result is what? Increase in the production. But at the same time, here human development, what we are telling, it is the end result itself. We are not telling it is a means. Human development, when we say, we'll just see that whether the person is educated or whether the person is healthy or not. We are not seeing whether any value is added because of that educated person or not. Okay. So once more, just telling the important points. Aishwarya, can you tell what you understood by this? Human capital and human development.
Human capital is considered as a means to the human development
What do
itself.
you means to human development?
It's a means to increase the labor productivity.
Means
So
to increase labor productivity means what? It is a method through which we can increase the labor productivity. But human development, what are we telling?
it is based on the idea that education and health are integral to the human well-being.
So here we are not talking about any productivity. Okay, we simply say that human beings are developed when education is there, when the person is healthy. We simply say that, okay, that human development is there. That only we say. But at the same time, human capital, when we say, what do you mean by that? It should increase the productivity of a person, or it is a medium through which it is considered as a medium here, under which, Sharath, under which topic we are considering education and health as a medium, whether it is human capital or whether it is human development. Human capital. Okay, so under human capital, education and health, that is considered as a medium to achieve what? Higher productivity. But under human development, what we are telling, it is a factor that shows that whether the person is developed or not, whether human beings are developed or not. Okay, second one, investment on education and health. We are spending a lot of money on on education and health. It will be unproductive. When it will be unproductive? If the person is not adding to the output, or if he is not doing any work and simply sitting at home, he is not doing any work and adding to the output, this will be unproductive. But it's not like that in the case of human development. It is productive. It is taken to be productive because even though it is not leading to a higher output, the person is educated, the person is healthy, we say that human development take place. But here in human capital, if that is not used for higher productivity, we are not considering, or we are considering it as unproductive. The last one, all these three are somewhat same. Put it in different words. The last one also, it is a means to an end. What is the mean here? Education and health. End is what? Increase in productivity. But here we are not telling education and health is end itself. That is a result itself. There is no mean, it is not considered as a means or anything. So this is the difference between human capital and human development. Now, talking about our country, human capital formation in India. In our country, whether who is doing this work or who is responsible for doing the expenditure on education, expenditure on health, that is the next topic they have given, or state of human capital formation in our country. Now, how can we improve the education and health status? I told you that before. What are the determinants of this human capital formation? That is spending on education, spending on health, maybe on job training, maybe migration, expenditure on information. All these will promote human capital. Okay. At the same time, India is a federal country. India is a federal country in the sense we have three levels of government. What are those three levels of government? Can anyone say? We have three levels of government. Can you say? Which are they?
Central, state, and local.
Central?
State and local governments.
Local government. Okay. Central government we have, state government we have, and local governments we have. And all these three areas, they have some duties to perform. Okay, or they have to spend some money on education and health. So expenditure on both education and health, it is carried out by all the three tiers of the government. All the three tiers of the government. Central government also takes care of the expenditure on education and health. State government also, local level also, they take care of this expenditure on education and health. Now, government intervention is very much important in the field of education and health. Why do we say that government has a role in the education and health? Is it necessary? Is it necessary or not? Karthik, do we need?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is it necessary?
Because not all people can afford private schools and private
Yeah.
hospitals.
Everyone in our country, if you see, everyone cannot afford to go to private schools or private hospitals here because they charge a lot of money, or they take a lot of profit from that. But in that kind of situation, we expect that government should play an important role in the field of education and health. So that's why we say that government intervention in education and health sectors is very much important. Now, how are they intervening in this, or what is the role of government? That is what they have given here in the next paragraph. Education and healthcare services, if you see, it is created by private people also, at the same time government also, because if you see both the public institutions and private institutions, there is a need of existence. Otherwise, government alone cannot spend all its money on education and health service, because government, you know that our government doesn't have that much resources to spend for all the population. So government expects that private sector also can play a role in providing education and health services to the people. But at the same time, you can see that private sectors, they charge a lot of money, or they always see that their profits should be increased. So that's what some areas, or some of the fields, you can see the government is providing free checkups or free treatments for the people. So those whoever wants to get the free treatment, they can go to the private government hospitals, or if the people are ready to pay for the services whatever they get from the private, then they can move to the private hospitals and all. Okay, now we just write it down, the heading: need for government intervention in education and health. Need for government intervention in education and health. What are the reasons why the government should invest in education and health? Just write it down. Need for government intervention in education and health. 5 factors are there, okay? Just write it down. First point, these sectors need huge investment with a very high fixed expenditure. These sectors need huge investment with a very high fixed expenditure. Second point, it is difficult to expect private investors to invest in health and education unless they are allowed to recover their huge costs through high price of these services. What do you mean by this point? What does this point mean?
The private investors will not invest in health and education unless they get a good profit from them.
Yes, unless they get a good profit. But can we allow only the private investors in education and health? Then what will happen?
The poor people won't be able to
Yes,
get
the poor
these
people
facilities.
won't be able to get education also. Health facilities also will not be provided to them. Okay, or they will not be able to take that health facilities because they have to pay a lot of money. Third point, people in a poor country, people in a poor country like ours, people in a poor country like ours cannot afford high price for health, education and health. Cannot afford high price for education and health. All these points, what I'm talking about, that is the need for government intervention, or the role of government in the education and health. Okay. Next point. Individual consumers of these services just 1 minute. What do you think that there are private hospitals and all? Do you think that whether government has a control over it? Hmm? Government has a control over it or not? Grishma? Hmm?
Not, not over the running of hospital.
Say louder.
Not in the matters of the hospital,
Not in the matters
of the hospital administration.
of hospital administration, but there is a control. That's what you're telling.
Yes.
Okay. Can you just mention one example which is recently happening related to vaccination? Government has a control, right? What is that control?
If
Regarding,
Price on
what is it? Yes, someone. What is that control you might have heard related to?
price of the vaccines are
Yeah,
decided by
it's
the government.
decided by the government. So if it is not decided by the government, what will happen?
They will buy more money.
Only the rich people can afford to get the vaccination, right? The same thing, government control is not there on private sector completely. We can't say there is a control over them, but that also will be benefiting the poor people here. Okay, it's not that only rich people are there in our country. There are some families who belongs to average income families are there, or poor people are there. So somehow if there is a need for them to get treated, the government should have some control over them. Doesn't mean that they can have profit at their own, according to their own wish they can charge anything. We can't They cannot do that. Okay, so what did you write now? Individual consumers of this services are unaware about the quality and cost of these services. Unaware about the quality and cost of these services, which leads to the behavior of which leads to the exploitative behavior of private service provider. Private service provider. Continue. Okay, government intervention is to ensure ensure that these service providers service providers, these service providers adhere to stipulated standards. Adhere to stipulated standards. Adhere to stipulated standards. One more point. That is what here you on the screen you can see to reduce the exploitation and monopoly power in the hands of providers of education and health. There is a chance that they will have monopoly power in providing the health and education. So for that also we need or to reduce that we need the role of government here. And the last point, right? When the basic education and healthcare, when basic education and healthcare when basic education and healthcare is considered as rights of citizens, is considered as rights of citizens. You might have heard right to education, right to work and all. When basic education and healthcare is considered as rights of citizens, the government needs to make provision. The government needs to make provision the government needs to make provision for free of cost for free of cost education and health services, education and health services at least for the backward sections of the society, at least for the backward sections of the society, at least the backward sections of the society. Next one is related to what all educational institutions we have or organizations we have to take care of education and health. Okay, so that is in our country at the union level mainly, or union and state level. You can see there are various departments of education. Some examples it's given, that is you have you know about NCERT. Then you might have heard about University Grants Commission, then All India Council of Technical Education. These are some of the organizations which take care of our education. Okay, there are various schools or educational institutions under all these organizations. Okay, that is one thing. I think this is also there in your textbook, right? Just check whether it's there or not. Because in some areas there is a change you can see related to it. It's there or not? Just check.
Yes, ma'am.
It's there. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So another one. This is mainly for the first one organization which I told you, that is taking care of education. Another one, Ministries of Health is there. That is at the union level also, at the state level also. Departments of Health is there. Another one at national level, you can see National Medical Commission and Indian Council for Medical Research. You might have heard about these associations. They will be taking care of health facilities in our country, or you might have heard any new medicines are to be approved and all those things in our country will be taken care by these particular institutions. Okay, so all these things, whatever they are aiming at is mainly the education. It is mainly for the education and healthcare facilities to be provided to the people here. Okay. Now next is, we are coming to the conclusion of that particular topic. Yes. Now, like our country, you know that many are living below the poverty line. So many of them, many of us, or many of the people, they don't have access to education or healthcare facilities. So, or they can't afford to get some of the facilities what is available in our country. So we expect that government should take care of all these facilities. That is what the basic education, healthcare is considered as the right of the citizens. So government should provide education and health services free of cost, especially for the deserving people. That is what you have written as the last point in your notebook. Okay. Now, it's not only that central government or any one particular level of government should do this. Union government is there, state government is there. They are spending some amount of money what they receive. They receive as revenue, as tax, or various other ways through which they receive money. So some percentage of money they should spend for the education. And what is the aim of our government? That is 10% literacy, and there should be average educational attainment should be there for all the citizens. You might have heard that India is aiming for 10%. Some of the states also already attained, we can say, in the matter of education, but not in the matter of health facilities. Okay, so we are aiming for health facilities in our full 10% health facilities in our country. Okay, just 1 minute.